Research and Innovation Group in Infosys Labs. Prior to PhD, he secured his BTech from IIT Kanpur and MTech in CS from IIT Mumbai. He has, to his credit, 7 granted patents, multiple additional patents in process, 400 plus invited talks across 8 countries, 15,000 plus students lectured on AI and related topics. We then have Shanta Totem, Dr. Shanta Totem, formerly Vice President Corporate Innovation and BD at Telangana Hub, Hyderabad, management professional with 14 plus years of IT entrepreneur experience and exceptional organization, standardized accelerator programmers, supporting and working with early stage startups, commercialization community of Southern New Mexico, resulting in a total of $250,000 grant funding given out of both NMSU faculty and student finalists who apply for 10 US patents. She's a member of Industry Advisory Council of JNTUH, serving an important role in guiding the university in its R&D innovation strategy. We also have Dr. D.M. Mamathav. She's a Fulbright scholar and an alumnus of Professor Bruce Hammock's lab, University of California, USA. She has 21 years of teaching and research experience. She's Registrar of Sri Padmavathi Women's University, Tirupathi. She is also an alumnus of NIEPA, New Delhi. Dr. D.M. Mamathav is the recipient of WHO Achievement Award 2006, Young Scientist Award 2007-2008, Lifetime Award 2008 by the International Institute for Ecology Communication, Fulbright Fellowship, Research Excellency Award by Indus Indo US Foundation. These are some of our credits. Moving on to the next one, we have Prashanth Pollishetty. He's the co-founder and CEO of OrbitShifters Incorporation USA. Prashanth comes with extensive experience in the analytics space, nearly 2 decades. He worked in Fortune 10 companies and enabled them in increased revenues and efficiency by developing practical AI and ML models. He has worked with Dell, TCS, Wells Fargo, and most recently with United Health Group, a leading healthcare organization in the world. Prashanth holds masters from Carleton School of Business and masters from Minnesota School of Business. I welcome all the panel members to take this session forward with regards to how AI reskilling is important. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Srinivas here. I'll be moderating the panel. So, as you all are aware, AI is an important technology, as also highlighted by the keynote speech. So I would like to bring the panelists' attention and their viewpoints on the skilling dimension, which is a very important topic for today, given that there is a lot of talk about AI may be a basic requirement for people right from, I don't know, if not kindergarten, at least from secondary schools. We have AI as a part of CBSE syllabus, and AI is part of fundamental engineering college students as a foundation course being offered across disciplines in several universities now. Then, of course, post-graduation level, we're seeing lots of diploma programs and tech programs. And at the same time, we're seeing the applications spanning areas like healthcare, areas like insurance, areas like even agri-tech, e-commerce, name it. So given such kind of a thing, we also need to understand that the question of reskilling is very important. Reskilling means it's very different from skilling, because skilling is about acquiring a new knowledge, but reskilling is about how we want to take an existing set of skills and morph their skills to adapt to the new prevalent technologies like AI. So in view of that, I would like to request all the panelists, will go in the order, Prashanth first, then Dr. Mamathav, then Dr. Shanta. The idea is each of you will have to spend 2 minutes on this topic. The first topic I would like to look at is what skills you feel, given the current imminence of AI and all of these new automation skills, what skills you think will become more and more irrelevant in the long run? So can we start with Prashanth? 2 minutes.
Dr. Srinivas, before we proceed, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We have Thameem Fowzan, Robotics Technical Lead, Proven Counsel from Bangalore, and he's joining the panel.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, hello team. Thank you for the introduction. Please go ahead.
Okay, Prashanth, you go first.
Sure, Srini, sir. I think the main skills that needs to be acquired by students, or like you mentioned, right? The government is thinking of establishing a course from 6th grade or 7th grade, or primary schools or elementary schools or middle school. I'm not sure, but I think the core fundamental skill I would say is being curious. And I think before the technology comes, I think the curiosity to understand the problem and understand how to connect the dots. And I think that is the first phase of the skill set I would say is most important and critical for everybody. Because if you go to a college or a university or any school, I think you can acquire those skills or reskill yourself. But I think inheriting that problem solving skill, understanding the problem itself is the single most important critical skill set I would say is really important for future. And the second most I would say is choose your path. And I'm going to say, I know in the last 2 to 3 years, over 2 billion posts were posted on LinkedIn around data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And I think it is more of an obsessiveness around this the subject of the field. But I would say the one skill you also need to do from a untraditional way, it is nothing to do with technology, but is the passion. Unless you're passionate and really enjoy challenges, because AI is not going to solve everything unless you put your passion and have the capability to understand the problem and to see on the both sides, on the technology front and as well as on the general perspective as well. The third skill set is the mathematics. We've been told from get-go since we were born, everything is calculated in numbers. Everything that surrounds us is measured and is being considered and calculated in numbers. I think we have to make it as a habit and make it as a daily routine to think and convert everything into numbers and understanding those patterns. Understanding the patterns is another single most skill that is required in AI, machine learning, or any subject you think of, because that is also is going to help and take that passion and everything to the next level when you really go and reskill yourself around artificial intelligence. I think those are mostly my three main fundamentals I would like to share, sir, because I wanted to leave the rest for you and the other dignitaries on the call.
Thanks, Prashanth. Dr. Mamathav, if you can jump in with your thoughts on skills to be acquired as well as skills to be forgotten. No.
Sir, there is a quick update. Dr. Mamathav is not going to join as there is some CM meet is happening in Tirupathi with the collectors. I don't think she will join. So we'll proceed to Thameem and I'll replace Mamathav.
Okay, then you go ahead, Mahesh. Mahesh, you start then.
Okay. So
focus on what needs to be forgotten. What skills need to be forgotten?
Yeah, basically, it's more kind of unlearning. Whatever we know, first we need to completely unlearn those things. Technically, whether it's programming, anything related to the programming, we need to unlearn. As if you look at the traditional programming, C, C++, Java all together, as a bunch, we need to unlearn first, and then we need to start learning new things. That's where technically more specific to the Python, machine learning, deep learning, all the stuff.
Okay, Dr. Fowzan.
Oh, sorry, it's Thameem. Thameem, sorry.
Thameem.
Thameem,
okay,
yeah.
Thameem.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, go ahead. Your thoughts on what to retain, what to learn, what to unlearn.
Actually, Dr. Srinivas, there are many conflicts in learning artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence and what exactly it is? Artificial intelligence is the end application, and it's not a special technology. So it's an end application, but the subsets of AI are machine learning, and the subset of machine learning is deep learning. So if you put a Venn diagram, then data science will be an integral part of all these things. So data science is more than 60% that needs to be learned. I mean, the basic skills and the libraries that we are using. When it comes to very fundamentalistic things and very fundamental is like they need to be good in a programming languages like Python. If they are working on machine learning, if they want to work on deep learning, they need to be good at C++ and Python, because the reason is most of the deep learning skills are they must be highly into computer vision and vision based projects. So if you go into that way, when you can work on you can program and you can develop a software and AI application in deep learning using Python, but at the end of the day, for integration you need a C++ what you can say architecture, because that definitely gives you a good impact. Because for example, if we run two software, one in Python and one in C++, Python will be fine, but C++ will be more efficient. Maybe the time take to write the codes might take time, but that's not a problem. And the skills that they need to retain is, if they retain skills in C++ and data structures, then that is completely fine. If one who is very good in C++ and data structures, then definitely they can master any programming. Then they can master any languages. At the same time, they can upscale themselves in any technology, which is AI, which is machine learning, deep learning, or data science. So these are the things which they have to retain, and those are the things they need to learn. And especially in mathematics, they need to be good in linear algebra. If they are taking a deep dive into any algorithms that they specifically want to develop in the subsets of deep learning like CNN, ANN, RNN, or even in machine learning like supervised, unsupervised learnings. So these are the main concepts, or even reinforcement learning. So that's all, Dr. Srinivas.
I would like to add one more point, Dr. Srinivas. One of the things in my experience, what I've learned is there's a tendency when engineers or developers, when they build something, or like one of the points that Mr. Person who just spoke in front of before me mentioned about is architecture. I think that is another big important thing I would like to mention is the architecture aspect of it, because you don't build product for a year. You need to build a product or a solution that can sustain for 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and the architecture should be scalable. I think a lot of gaps I have noticed is not having that fundamental knowledge around the architecture, how you can think about 5, 10 years later as well. And then the other thing I also would like to mention is how do we effectively leverage the open source technologies? A lot of we have now a variety of tools available in the market. I think the skills that you need to start looking into is why don't we leverage as much as we can by using those open source technologies, and also getting those fundamentals really strong, really strong, especially the C++ that he mentioned, the Python, the mathematics, and also the problem solving skills. And another aspect of from a psychology standpoint is we cannot just connect the dots and based on what we know already, we cannot just say that this is it, this is what we're going to do. So one of the terms that I learned in the recent times is a term called confirmation bias. If you look up in Google, the main the real definition of it is the tendency to interpret new evidence as confirmation of one's existing beliefs or theories, which basically means when we start coding, or when we start solving a problem by using these emerging technologies, we are already made up in our mind, okay, I'm going to code this will be my end result, because that is our human nature. And what we need to do is effectively use these technologies to prove it wrong. And the more we try to prove it wrong, the more we get to know is where are we missing those wavelengths, where are we missing those gaps. And when we encounter problems, I think another biggest skill set I have seen fundamentally is every time we come across a problem, we immediately go to the solution. How are we going to solve this? But unless you understand the problem, you will not be able to figure out the solution itself. There are two cutthroat ways: either solve the problem or kill the problem. Those are the ways that now everybody has gotten used to. I think these are like basic fundamental skills as well, on top of all the technologies, all the engineering skill set that people are learning. I wanted to just make those points as well, Dr. Srinivas. Mahesh, anything to add?
Yeah, apart from the technical skills, there should be some.
No, just one point I wanted to ask all of you. What do you think is the role design, as we talk as customer experience, we call it, which is what Prashanth was talking about. What do you think is the role, when we talk about creating the modern digital applications, which is what AI is all about? How do you think the role of design and experience and all of this plays a role? Because it's all about ultimately digital skills, right? So I would like to know all of your opinions around design and architecture, both of the points which Prashanth you mentioned. So I'd like to know, Thameem and Mahesh, your opinion on design and architecture. Design, by design, I also mean end user design, not just design of IT system. So main question is around for digital skills, how do you think design and architecture play a role, and how much of that you think should be added to current AI skill curriculums? Mahesh.
Well, basically, if you look at from more a design and architecture point of view, as we are talking about the latest technologies, one side where we have open source, one side we have big data technologies, one side we have a hybrid and in-memory database. So leveraging all together, now if you look at where AI will become your user interface. Now the AI is a UI. So traditionally, the way how we look at now let's say when I want to order something where I need to get into the website. Now instead of that website with the voice where I can enable and I can order. Now AI will become the new user interface. And technology standpoint of view, we are going to leverage heavily very new technologies. And apart from that, the kind of one new mindset which we need to adapt is it's a more business forward, technology backward. So whatever the thing we are going to develop, right, whether it's a prototype or a product, there should be some kind of attachment to the business outcome. That's it from my side.
Mr. Thameem, can you talk about anything on the architecture side, which both of them have kind of hinted? Because as you know, everybody talks about algorithms, Python and all, but ultimately you get to deploy that system to handle millions of end users, right? So what do you
Yes,
think?
Yes, Dr. Srinivas, you are absolutely right. And as Mahesh spoke earlier before me, he was pointed out correctly about the mail services and everything. So, in a very layman terms, I'll tell you, I don't want to dissect. I just want to dissect this both the architecture and design. So, software design is whether it is an AI or any software components. So, AI, for example, design is something, what you can say, the flowchart that we are making. Like, for example, both are interconnected. There is not much differences. Design is something, for example, if I am making an AI application that can view someone, then I'm making a flowchart. Like, first it has to read the images, then it has to train the images, then it has to identify, then it has to detect it, and finally it is giving our output. So this is a flow chart. Architecture is something that we work on the back end. It means the coding part. What language are we using? What are the libraries that we are using? What are the how we are setting up the environment, and how the output is delivered, and what is a frame per second, and how many what you can say bytes of data is used, is being trained. So this is architecture. So design is something that you are making a whole step-by-step plan. So design is something about a strategy, and architecture is something about the algorithm we use, the language we use for development, and the end user application. How in terms of what you can say, the runtime of the applications I mean the speed of the application, as well as and how the project is being delivered. I mean the core part is architecture, and the design is completely about how we plan by ourselves. According to me, design can be easily modified, but software we need to, and but the architecture should be we need to be done with respect to the end user application. It can be in stacks, and like how we are designing and what language we are choosing. So that priority comes with the developers, but design comes with a person who is managing the whole project, and it may be uh, fr- the front face of the project, and the main work goes in the behind the screen, which architecture plays a vital role. So that is what I think, Dr. Srinivas. It might be the major role in this any application, even though if it is a AI application.
Okay, thanks all of you. I got to know that Dr. Mamathav has joined. Dr. Mamathav, if you're online, can you throw some light on the skilling dimension of AI?
Dr. Srinivas, I think she's still trying to get on the audio side.
Okay, so just from a wrapping up perspective, I would like to know very crisply your thought process on do you think that AI is required from very early stage in life, or you think it can be acquired at a much later stage? Simple question, but I would like to ask all of your opinion on that.
It's a tricky question, Dr. Srinivas, because like we know, one size does not fit all. If I say yes, it is required, there will be people who might be offended. If I say it is not required, there will be people who would be offended. So the way I would say is, if you start developing the problem solving skills at a very early age, and if you think if AI is going to help navigate through the journey, let's say if you learn faster, you'll learn faster and you can redesign that entire thing. I think it's a journey. It depends on the person and the student, and I think it will be a good start around middle school, in my opinion, because too early is too soon sometimes. And I would say right around middle school and high school would be a great fit to introduce the concepts, because
I just said
our middle school and heavy high school, which basically means 9, 10, 11, 12, are heavily this is the time where we are heavily infusing our students with introductory fundamental concepts. And I think by at the same time, if we start infusing the AI and how it is evolving and the fundamentals of AI, I think it will be a good starting point, in my knowledge.
Mahesh, you want to talk about your opinion?
Mahesh, are you there?
yeah.
And can you stop presenting, Mahesh?
Oops.
Thank you.
Sorry guys, I just got a call from other participant.
Okay, Mahesh, your question is, do you think we should start very early in life regarding AI or later in life?
Yeah, that's what that's a very, again, as Prashanth told, it's a very tricky question. Now, if you look at where the young generation is competing with a traditional players, might be from a school student to UG PG student, or a startup to a big ironic companies. So that's where the beauty of this open source where any, as we say always, Python is fun. Anybody can learn, and anybody can easily implement AI. So it's always good to see where young folks are learning, and they are completely, defeating the big ironic even companies. So that's why if you look at CBSE, recently they introduced it at class 8 and class 9 itself. So one question we need to answer: what is the problem they are trying to solve? That's where we need to focus on. That's it from my side.
So Thameem.
Yeah, hello, Dr. Srinivas.
Question.
Hello. Yeah, go ahead.
Same
Hello.
question. How young should we pick up AI? That's the question.
Oh, you mean like how young we can pick the AI?
Correct.
No, at what age should we introduce AI in general, Thameem?
Yeah, thank you, Prashanth. Actually, it all depends upon the person's thinking and upscaling. But if you ask me in general, you can start training them. I mean, from the age group like around 10, I believe. That might be the right age that a person can start learning from a basic. Because why the reason I'm saying like this, 10, that is the age. Some students are nowadays not like very early generation like we were. Whatever it is, they are easily grabbing the knowledge from YouTube or any other tutorials. Not only that is the reason. There was a Indian student, Indian techie. Uh, I exactly forgot his name, but he became IBM Watson developer, AI developer, and he was working in IBM at the age of 12. And I forgot his name exactly. So even he started. Yeah. So that's the person. So even Tanmay Pakshi. So that is a person. So even he can do that. Definitely, other kids can perform well like him. So maybe if at the age of 12 he did this, he might have started at least in 10. So what I feel is rightly like not everyone can be like Tanmay Bakshi, but everyone can have the opportunity like him. So definitely, I believe that at the age of 10, every individual can start igniting their minds to for upscaling their programming skills as a basic, then software development, starting from games, developing games and everything. Then it will grow when the time, with respect to time, they will develop their own AI application. Once they reach the age 12, if they are if their IQ is high, is very high, like Tanmay Bakshi, or maybe by the age of 15, 16. So maybe my right advice would be at the age of 10. With respect to.
Thank you, Thameem. Thank you. I think all of you concur that we should start at school age. I would like to request Professor Mamathav to say a few words on her thoughts on AI skills, given her academic background and the fact that she's working in the academia. Professor Mamathav, you want to throw light on few suggestions on skills development for AI?
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. I have a question.
No, can you wait? Can you wait?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Why not?
Professor Mamathav, are you in a position to speak? I think we have some issues here. So what we will do is we will conclude the panel with some conclusions from the team. First and foremost, we feel that definitely AI skills are required for today's modern digital businesses. Second, we can start AI skills right from probably middle school, which is around what most of the panels seem to agree, right, including example of Padmavathi. Third, the role of UI, user experience, or customer requirement, which is what asking for the right problem, that becomes very important. And lastly, the notion of architecting systems, which is like Thameem mentioned about C++, because you need to develop high-performing application. And all this at the cost of course, some basic programming and concepts in machine learning, etc., in popular languages like Python, etc., are definitely important, but they are not the only thing. So one caveat I would like to mention is most of the PG diplomas, most of the MTechs, all of those guys typically talk about the algorithms and machine learning implementations in Python, but the important points which the panelists mentioned beyond that are the elements about user experience, understanding how the end user experience has to be. Second element is architecting of the system so that it can handle millions of users. And thirdly, the question of problem solving and inquisitiveness among people who are developing. These are additional skills which are beyond the core programming and algorithms part of machine learning. So with that, we conclude the panel. And I hope this was a valuable, inputs for the attendees in terms of what are the skill sets people are looking at. So,
sir, I have a question.
No, we'll take the question only on chat. No questions on phone. Please put your question on chat because it's disturbing.
Okay.
So please put a question on chat. We'll take 2 questions.
Can I say a few words, sir, on this occasion?
No. Please put. Dr. Mamathav?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dr. Mamathav. Yeah, go ahead. We were waiting for you to speak. Please speak. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, the context of AI in the current day is very tremendous and very compelling also, as I see, because it innovated every field of sciences and in every field of walk of life too. So how strong we are to develop the young nation to catch up with the goals. Sorry, the dignitaries have come. Yeah, let me finish it off very briefly. So being an administrator of a university, I find that there's a lot of gap between the technology that is being prepared on one front. On the other hand, there's the gap on the other side is the students that lacking the skills and looking forward to learn the skills. So we need to address this gap, making the students learn and catch up with the the technology part and the global platform. This is very important because in the larger context, India has a greater, I need to say not greater, greatest demographic dividend of being a youngest India for the next 20 years. So as we see in a global picture, and many of the top-notch countries will look towards India for skillful persons or human resource. So at this juncture, the AI comes into the picture, and to train the students or the human resource into a skillful, very skillful human resource. So there are many challenges before us because the AI really compels and influences not only every field of science but also every walk of life. So this is my major concern. I encourage the AI and other related aspects also to be taken forward in skilling the youth. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Mamathav. I agree.
Thank you very
Because
much, sir.
I have seen, you'll be surprised that there are a lot of AI initiatives being handled by physics, biology, and chemistry fields, scientists in these fields who are using AI for a lot of discovery and also astrophysics. So I agree with all your points.
Yes,
so
sir.
now we'll look at some of the questions here in the panel. One question we have come up is there is a movement to start AI early stage, but what is the course content? So
if you could,
question is
sir,
about
my concern here is, yeah, tell me, sir. Yeah.
No, the question was that there is a movement to start school level AI. So what should be the content in school level? I'd like all the panelists to speak on this. Dr. Mamathav, you can think about that. Then we can ask
Yes,
Prashanth.
sir.
Then,
Yes,
ahead,
let me give my opinion first, because my meeting is also getting started, sir. The dignitary is coming in. Yeah, but when coming to the level, at what stage the AI need to be introduced? Yes, if you make understand the student the importance and the application of the AI, automatically they will be inclined to learn that, because in the next 20 years, I know that AI is going to take over completely. So the student need to be aware, and the application need to be spelled first, so that they'll have more inclination and take it up as a basic subject, to take up AI on par with the other subjects also, so that in their mind itself, in their young mind itself, they will nurture the still inherent applications of AI from their middle level itself, and bring forth more innovative ideas into the platform, and also which can be further incorporated into the curriculum. This is my concern.
Sure. Prashanth, your thought on what should be an early stage syllabus?
Hello, sir. I think again, if I say it's basic concepts, then people will say, why basic concepts? If I say they need to get into practical sessions, then it will be always that one. So here's what I would say: introduction of basic understanding. So first, the awareness is the foremost concepts. First subject I would say is understanding and awareness of AI at primary school, and then middle school, if you start introducing the basic concepts, and then because you cannot introduce the high school level mathematics at middle school and then change the entire course of it. So I would say fundamental basic concepts around AI machine learning would be a good start, sir, instead of diving into a full-fledged curriculum that will deviate the for example, we have learned so many theorems when I was an intermediate, and I didn't know where to apply until I am now 35-40 years old. So I would say more realistic and practical use cases and awareness around this, and how it will skillfully help in future. I think from a career perspective, I think because if we are introducing a new concept, this is our first opportunity to make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes that has happened in our education system for the past 40 years. Most of the courses.
So yeah, agree. Thameem, I would like to ask you one last question from the audience. The question is about, there are a lot of advertisements about math-free ML, no math ML. Do you think that is useful, or how effective these are?
Yes, Dr. Srinivas. There are math-free ML, and I will tell you, I have to dissect this into two different categories. One is if you are teaching for a school students or something like who are below age, and one is for people who are above age. For below age students, you can have a math-free ML because they will be easily getting bored, maybe to grab the business and maybe to give some ignite about the technology. Okay, that is a good idea, I will say. But if this is for some higher from aged people who are adults, then it is completely not the right option to go, because the reason is in the beginning you can develop some simple applications using without knowing the in-depth concept of any mathematical models like linear algebra or probabilistic equations. But when the time passes, you can't simply copy the models, and we can't simply copy the GitHub links and just edit the codes and run the and set up the environment and run the application. So for a long run, we need to be good at mathematical equations, especially probability and linear algebra and statistics. So if it is for adults, then it is not a good idea. But if it is for young people like school students or kids, then it is the right way to approach.
Thanks everyone. But one last group of points required there in the chat was, where do I pick up AI? Where do I pick up knowledge about AI? And is it required to go through a formal education? So my suggestion is threefold. First, just make sure that you have to go through the rigmarole of learning the AI either from online YouTube classes or from maybe a diploma program online, or by going through a formal MTech. That is important. But last and most important is get yourself into the task of solving problems either on Kaggle or on HackerRank to get yourself proficiency. So with that, we'll wrap our panel, and I would like to thank all the panelists. Thank you. So let's move on to the